Your offer said $62,000 a year. You did the math. $5,166 a month. You planned around it. You told people what you were going to be making. Your first check was $1,847. Not $5,000, not even close. You sat in the parking lot and read the pay stub 3 times, looking for the error. There was no error. Here is why that number was never going to be 5,000. And here is what it means that nobody told you before you accepted the offer. The $62,000 salary is a pre-tax gross figure. It is the number before every institution with a legal claim on your earnings takes its share. By the time the money moves, 6 separate deductions have already run: federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security, Medicare, your health insurance premium, your 401k contribution if you enrolled during onboarding without reading the default settings. Each one is legal. Each one was disclosed in documents you signed. None of them were explained in the offer letter. The federal income tax alone removes approximately 12% of a $62,000 salary after the standard deduction. That is $6,240 a year, $520 a month, gone before you make a single choice. State income tax varies, but in a median rate state it removes another 4 to 5%. Social Security takes 6.2% of every dollar up to the wage base. Medicare takes 1.45%, with no ceiling at all. These 4 figures together remove roughly 22 to 25% of your gross salary before health insurance touches it. Your take-home at $62,000 in a median tax state is approximately $39,000 a year, $3,250 a month. Not $5,166. The offer letter described a salary. It did not describe an income. The mechanism behind this gap is called payroll withholding, and it was not designed for your convenience. It was designed for the government's revenue collection. Before 1943, Americans paid their income tax in a single annual lump sum. The system worked poorly. People spent the money before the bill arrived. During World War II, the Treasury Department under Henry Morgenthau introduced automatic payroll deduction as a wartime revenue measure. Congress made it permanent. The result is a system where your employer acts as an unpaid tax collection agent, remitting your tax liability to the federal and state governments before you ever see the money. The practical effect is that you experience your salary as your take-home, because take-home is the only number that appears in your bank account. Gross salary is an abstraction. It lives on the offer letter and the pay stub header and nowhere else. When you budget against your gross salary, as most people do, in the weeks between receiving an offer and receiving a first paycheck, you are budgeting against a number that does not exist in your account and never will. The health insurance premium compounds this. Employer-sponsored health insurance premiums are deducted pre-tax, which reduces your taxable income, which is a genuine benefit. But the premium itself, which averages $1,366 a year for single coverage on an employer plan in 2024, leaves your account before you see it. You did not choose the premium. You chose the plan. The premium was attached to the plan in a document distributed during a 45-minute onboarding session. The 401k default rate does the same thing in reverse. Most employers who offer automatic enrollment set a default contribution rate of 3%. At $62,000, 3% is $1,860 a year. If you did not actively change this setting during onboarding, $1,860 of your salary is moving into a retirement account every year on a decision you technically made by not making one. This is called a passive default. It is the same mechanism airlines use when they pre-check the travel insurance box. The structure underneath all of this is a layered priority system. Your employer does not distribute your gross salary and let you allocate it. Your employer distributes what remains after all prior claims are satisfied in a legally defined order. The federal government is first. The state government is second. The Social Security Administration is third. Medicare is fourth. Your benefits provider is 5th. You are 6th. The offer letter describes the total pool before any of these prior claims run. What you receive is the remainder. This ordering is not arbitrary. It reflects the relative legal enforceability of each claim. Federal tax withholding is mandatory. Employers face penalties for failure to remit. State withholding is mandatory in states with income tax. FICA, Social Security, and Medicare combined is mandatory. Benefits deductions are contractual. Your net pay is what the law and your benefits elections leave over. The W-4 form you completed during onboarding determines how much federal withholding is taken from each paycheck. The default W-4 instructions revised substantially in 2020 to attempt to calibrate withholding to your actual tax liability, so you neither owe a large sum at filing nor receive a large refund. Most people complete it in under 3 minutes. Most people do not adjust it when their financial situation changes. The result is that the most important variable in determining your weekly take-home, how you completed a form on your first day at a new job while someone was waiting to show you where the bathrooms are, is set once and reviewed almost never. At $62,000 with default withholding, one dependent claimed single filing status, standard deduction, median state tax, 3%, 401(k) enrollment, and the average employer health premium. Your take-home is $3,251 per month. If you elected family health coverage instead of single, your take-home drops to approximately $2,940. The same salary, the same job. A $400 monthly difference based on a checkbox you selected during the same 45-minute session. Here is what none of the 3 previous layers prepared you for. The gross salary number on your offer letter is the number your employer uses to calculate their own costs. When your employer offers you $62,000, they budget significantly more than $62,000 for your position. Employer-side payroll taxes, the Social Security and Medicare contributions the employer pays on your behalf, add another 7.65% of your gross salary to their cost. Employer contributions to your health plan, which, for single coverage, averaged $7,951 in 2024, are on top of that. The real cost of a $62,000 employee to an employer is closer to $77,000 to $80,000 annually. Consider when that number was calculated. While you were deciding whether to ask for $65,000 instead of $62,000, whether it was worth the risk of seeming greedy, whether you should just take the offer before they changed their mind, a payroll system had already modeled that either figure would cost the company close to $80,000. The difference between the number you were afraid to ask for and the number you accepted was a rounding error in a budget you were never shown. You were negotiating, carefully, against a figure you could not see, with a counterparty who could see all of it. The gap between what the job costs your employer and what arrives in your account is not the product of anyone's error or deception. It is the product of a system in which every participant, the federal government, the state, the benefits provider, the employer's payroll department, is optimizing for their own interest using a framework that predates your birth by decades. The number on the offer letter is real. It is just not the number that will ever appear in your bank account, and it was never going to be. The salary you accepted is not the income you will spend. These are different numbers, on different systems, controlled by different institutions, and only one of them shows up in your account on Friday. 3 things you can do this week. Pull your most recent pay stub and locate the gross pay line and the net pay line. Calculate the percentage difference. That percentage is your effective withholding rate. It is the number that determines what every future salary offer actually means in dollars you can spend. Log into your employer's benefits portal and find your W-4 settings and your 401(k) contribution rate. Verify that both reflect deliberate choices you made with current information, not defaults you inherited on your first day. The next time you receive a salary offer, divide the gross figure by 12, then multiply by 0.72. That is a rough estimate of your monthly take-home in a median tax state with standard deductions. Budget from that number, not the offer. The offer is a description of what the employer will pay. It is not a description of what you will receive. Somewhere right now, someone is opening an offer letter. They are doing the math. $5,166 a month. They could make this work. Their first check will arrive in 2 weeks.